So we'll start the class today, just finding your comfortable seat. You can sit on a block if you'd like to elevate the hips. Sit on a blanket or a pillow. And we're going to start by right away closing the eyes. Let's take a big cleansing breath. Inhale through the nose and release through the mouth. Relax all the muscles of the face. Relax the forehead and the eyebrows. Release any holding in the jaw, in the neck and the shoulders. Feel both sit bones rooting down and connected to your seat. And feel the navel pull in slightly toward the spine, supporting the low back. And the arms and hands just rest heavy on the legs. You feel the shoulder blades draw slightly together and down the spine, lifting the heart. Chin tucking slightly toward the heart. Back of the neck is long, and the crown of your head is lifted. Just feeling in your own body, the head over the heart, over the hips. And then coming back to the breath, start to notice your natural inhales and exhales. So to notice the sounds that are around you.
She's recording. So she's recording hers.
Can you mute your audio?
Yes.
No, can you mute it on the thing?
Oh, sorry, mute it.
These are my parents for anyone who's watching. Just coming back to listening to the breath. And then on your next inhale, send the breath really deep into the belly. Feel the whole belly filling up like a balloon. And then exhale, releasing the belly fully of air, getting every last bit of air out of you. And then next inhale, send it right into the heart center. Feel the heart, the ribs, the lungs filling up with air. And then exhale to release the heart center, the lungs. And next we'll inhale right into the head. Feel the whole forehead filling up as you breathe in. And exhale as you release the head. And just adding all of that together. Inhale into the belly. Allow the breath to travel into the lungs, the ribs, heart, into the head. And releasing the way you came from the head, the heart, the lungs, and the belly. Breathing like this a few more rounds on your own. Filling the body up with air from bottom to top and emptying from top to bottom. And after your last exhale, allow the inhale to come naturally and the breath to return to its natural state. And then beginning to activate your Ujjayi breath. Just inhaling and exhaling through the nose with that slight restriction in the back of the throat. And letting this be your breath that carries you through practice today. You can leave the eyes closed if you'd like, but start to take some circles with your upper body. Just making circles to one direction. Maybe shining the heart forward when you come through, inhaling, and then exhaling, rolling the heart back. You can move as quickly or as slowly as you'd like to here. And you can switch directions when you're ready. Just warming up the spine. Maybe adding the neck into some movements too. Then you can find your way back to a center seat. And inhale, reach both arms all the way up. Feel the side body's getting really long. Feel the bottom of the ribs separating from the hips a little bit more. Both sit bones staying grounded. Take some circles with your wrists. Maybe wiggle the fingers. And exhale, drop your left arm down, bend over to the left side of the mat, stretching out the right side body. Each time you inhale, finding that length, and each time you exhale, bending a little bit deeper. And then inhale, reach both arms up. And exhale, take that to the other side, dropping right arm down, stretching out the left side of the body. And then coming back up to center. When you're ready, reach both arms up. And exhale, bring both hands to your side. And then let your right ear come to the right shoulder. Just breathing into the left side of the neck. Just allow the head to be really heavy, keeping that straightness in the spine, keeping the navel slightly pulled in. Just letting the head get a little bit heavier, feeling the space from the left shoulder through the left ear. If you'd like to add a little bit or make this stretch a little bit deeper, you can bring the right hand on top of the head or on top of the left ear, just getting a little extra weight. Maybe you start to walk the left fingertips away from your seat, getting that length, extending down the arm. Option to raise that hand off of the ground even, maybe fluttering the fingers, just feeling around for wherever the sweet spot is. And just gently release the head if the arm is up there. Bring the neck back up to center really slowly. And then just bring that to the other side. So let the left ear come to the left shoulder. Just noticing right away, probably one side feels a lot different than the other. Just breathing into it. Each time you exhale, just imagining it going to the right side of the neck. An option to bring that left hand on top of the right ear if you did that on the other side. Making this a little bit deeper. And same option to just walk those fingertips away from the seat, getting that length. Staying with your breaths here. 2 more rounds. And you can gently release the head and slowly guide it back to center. Maybe just take some circles with the neck and start to feel some evenness on the sides. Only tilt your head back if that feels okay on the neck. And then you can go and switch directions. And let's just bring the chin down to center when you feel ready. And keep the spine really straight here. So the chin is really tucked toward the chest. If you want this a little bit deeper, you can interlace the hands behind the head and just let the elbows dangle here. Let the arms be heavy. And notice where you're feeling this in the spine. Next time you exhale, really start to curl the spine. Let the belly pull back onto the spine. Let the heart curl back. Tilt the pelvic floor up toward the navel, getting that rainbow shape in the spine. And then next, inhale, just straighten out the spine, leaving the head right where it is. So you can just move like this really slowly, exhaling, curling, and then inhaling and straightening, leaving the head where it is. And try to move really slowly and notice how each moment that you shift in the pose, the sensations shift in the spine as well. And notice where it feels best for you, maybe where it feels not so nice. Breathing into it. And then the next time you're straightening out the spine, start to really push the back of your head into the hands and open up your elbows toward the back, opening up the heart, maybe tilting the head back, lifting the chin. And then exhale, take it all the way back down. So curling the elbows, curling the spine, coming back into this closed shape. And then inhaling, coming up, back to that opening up shape. Opening the elbows, opening the heart. And then just move like this for maybe 2 or 3 more rounds with your own breath. Always option to close the eyes if you want to just feel into the spine a little bit deeper. And the next time that you're open, you can stay there. Release the hands from the head, extend the arms back behind you. Feel like the backs of the hands are coming toward each other. The shoulder blades drawing together down the spine. And then exhale, bring it into heart center. Just pause here for a moment. Maybe set an intention for your practice. Maybe just check in with how you're feeling this morning. And then when you're ready, you can plant the hands in front of the shins and come into your tabletop position. If you have a blanket, you can bring that underneath the knees. So just stopping with your hips over the knees, the shoulders over the wrists. Fingers are spread really wide, pointers facing forward, and the pinkies are facing slightly out. If you look back between the thighs, you'll see that the toes are hidden behind the thighs, just to keep them in line with the knees. And then start to root into the shins and the tops of the feet and into the knuckles of both hands and the fingertips of both hands and the base of both hands. Feel the navel pull into the spine, getting a really straight line from the tailbone through the back of the neck, crown of the head. And then inhale, you'll drop the belly down, lift the gaze, lift the tailbone to your cow pose, maybe looking up. And then exhale into your cat pose. Pull the navel to the spine, tuck the chin and the tailbone. Really feel like you're pushing the ground away from you. And then inhaling into your cat pose, cow pose, sorry. And then exhale, pull it back. Maybe you feel like energetically the wrists and the knees are coming in toward each other without actually moving. And just keep moving through these with your own breath at your own pace. And closing the eyes so you can really feel into the spine. Feel free to take any movements at all that feel good. If you want to wag the tail, look back toward either hip. If you want to take circles with the shoulders, or the hips, or the neck. Maybe even coming to child's pose for a breath or two. Just checking in with your spine. Noticing how it's feeling this morning. And when you're ready, you can find your way back to a neutral tabletop. Leave the hips right over the knees, walk the hands forward, and melt the heart down into puppy pose. Just bringing the forehead or the chin to the mat or a block. Keeping the forearms and the hands rooted down. Surrendering in the heart center. Each exhale, feeling the shoulder blades come a little bit closer together. Breathing here, breathing into the shoulders. Next inhale, you can pull the navel up to the spine, walk the hands back about halfway to where they were before. And then when you're ready, we'll tuck the toes and lift the hips into down dog. If you don't want to practice down dog today, I encourage you to just stay in tabletop. Anytime I say come into down dog, you can just be in tabletop. You can do everything the same from your tabletop. So if you are in your down dog, you can pedal out the feet. And actually, you can even do this in tabletop, just kind of kicking the feet back behind you. Just really anything that feels good. Permission to do throughout the entire class. If at any point there's a pose that you really want to take, just go ahead and take it. And the goal of down dog is to get the spine as long as possible. So keeping that in mind, giving all your energy to the hips, lifting as high as you can. Staying rooted in the 4 points that are touching the floor. And when you're ready, you can bend the knees, look up toward the top of the mat, and start to walk your feet up to meet your hands. You can land in a halfway lift, so a tabletop in the spine, and exhale to forward fold. So here, bend the knees so much so that the belly can rest on the thighs. However much you need to bend them to achieve that. Maybe you hug the legs, maybe you grab opposite elbows, maybe you just let the arms hang and dangle. Just releasing everything, letting it go. Breathing into wherever you are feeling this the most. So maybe it's the low back, maybe it's the upper back, maybe it's the legs. Sending the breath there. And then really slowly starting to root down in the feet first. You'll roll the body up to stand one vertebrae at a time. So stacking each bone on top of each other, letting the head and the shoulders be last to come up. Roll the shoulders back at the top and let the palms face out in your mountain pose. Just feeling the four corners of both feet rooting down. Feeling that micro bend in the knees, inner thighs pulling in and up toward each other. Tailbone tucking down, navel pulling in. Fingertips reaching toward the ground as the shoulder blades drawing together down the spine. Chin is slightly tucked and the crown of the head is lifted. Just feeling the head over the heart, over the hips, over the heels. Rooted and supported through the feet and lifted and light through the crown of the head. Inhale, sweep both arms up and over. And exhale, swan dive, coming down to your forward fold. Inhale to a flat back, halfway lift. Exhale, release. Plant the hands and step back to your plank. If the plank is too much, you can just bring the knees down to your modified plank. That is totally fine. And just staying here for a moment or two, just really pulling the navel up to the spine, lift the back of the heart, heels reaching back, crown of the head reaching forward. And then slowly starting to bend the elbows alongside the ribs, slowing yourself in one piece down to your mat. Inhale, lift the heart, baby cobra. Maybe the hands slightly lift. And exhale, release. Keeping the elbows close to the ribs, push yourself up through your tabletop. Tuck your toes, lift your hips, down dog, or staying in tabletop. 3 really deep breaths here. When you're ready, bend the knees, look forward, and make your way up to the top of your mat, landing in that halfway lift as you inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, root to rise, reach up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Now from your mountain pose, leave your left foot right where it is, and then step your right foot back to warrior one legs. So the hips are staying square to the front of your mat. The back toes are facing the front right corner of your mat. And the front knee is bent over the front ankle. Both arms can reach up, feeling that length from the hips through the side bodies, through the fingertips. And keep feeling like your inner thighs are magnetically pulled toward each other. So you keep getting that scissor-like action in the hips. Stay rooted in the 4 corners of both feet. You can always adjust your stance if you need to. And then next inhale, start to really cactus the arms, bring the elbows closer to each other, opening up the heart. And then if that feels okay, you can reach back and maybe grab opposite elbows, or you can interlace the hands behind the back. Pulling the fists of the elbows closer to the ground, lifting the heart as you inhale. And then exhale, hinge forward to a humble warrior. So you're going to bow the head, and the left shoulder is coming to the inside of the left knee. You can widen your stance to achieve this. You can let the fists hang forward or just keep holding onto the elbows here. Whatever feels right in your body. And keeping that magnetic action in the hips, just really keeping the foundation strong. Few more breaths here, just surrendering. And then next inhale, slowly start to bring yourself back up to your warrior one. You can use the fist to pull yourself up. Maybe release the hands, reach them up, shake them out. And then reach into the ground with your left foot, slowly straightening out the left leg. And bring the hands to your hips as you inhale, lift the heart. Exhale, hinge forward into your pyramid. So leading with the heart here first. If you have blocks, you can bring them to either side of your front foot, or bring the hands to the floor, or leave the hands on the hips. It's totally up to you. But the same thing as in Warrior One, keeping the hips square to the front. Breathing into the left hamstring. If it feels better for you to curl here, you're welcome to curl. Just letting the head release. And keep pulling your left hip back. So keep feeling that space from the left hip through the left heel. Each time you exhale, that space is getting a little bit longer. Take 3 more breaths here. And then very slowly, You can bring your hands back to the hips and inhale the torso back up to center. You can reach both arms up as you inhale. And then exhale, bring the hands to heart center and step your back foot up to meet your front foot. Inhale, reach both arms up. Exhale, swan dive and forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release. Inhale, root to rise, reach up. Maybe a little back bend at the top. And then exhale, hands to heart center. We'll move through that on the other side when you're ready. Leave your right foot right where it is and step the left foot back to warrior one legs. The same thing over here. Back toes are facing the front left corner of the mat this time. The front knee is over the front ankle. Four corners of both feet are firm, gripping the mat. Inner thighs pull toward each other. Scissor action in the hips, left hip coming forward, right hip coming back. And then you can reach both arms up if you'd like. There's a lot we can be thinking about here in Warrior One. Just keeping all of that in mind. Letting the pose bring you completely into the present. And next inhale, really start to cactus the arms, open up the heart. And then you can reach for opposite elbows or interlace the hands behind the back. Open up the heart, inhale. And exhale, hinge at the hips into your humble warrior. And again, option to really widen the stance. You can make the stance as wide as you need to fit yourself in there. Keep the hips even. So really keep the right hips pulling back and the left hip coming forward. You can release the head, let it be heavy. You can let the fists be heavy or the arms. A few more breaths here. And start to use your fists and your core. Bring yourself back up to Warrior One. Release the arms, reach them up, shake them out. And then hands can come to the hips as you slowly straighten out your front leg. Inhale, lift the heart. Exhale, hinge at the hips into your pyramid pose on the other side. The same thing here. You can leave the hands on the hips. You can bring the hands to blocks on either side of the foot. Keeping that right hip pulling back, left hip pulling forward. And release the upper body and the head if you'd like. And you could probably notice if one side feels a lot different. Just noticing that, noticing where your body's at. Right hip keeps pulling back, feeling the stretch from the right hip through the heel. Next time you inhale, you can either walk the hands up the legs or bring the hands to the hips and bring yourself back up to center. Inhale, reach both arms up. And then exhale, hands come to heart center as you step the left foot up to meet the right. Inhale, reach both arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and fold. Notice that the hamstrings feel a lot looser. I'm going to hang out in forward fold for a few more breaths. Maybe you start to slowly straighten out the legs. Maybe they stay pretty bent. You can still stretch the hamstrings with slightly bent legs. Let's take 3 more deep, full exhales wherever you are here. And then inhale, halfway lift, straighten out the spine. Exhale, fold. Inhale, root to rise, reach the arms out and up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Pausing here. Feel the heart beating into the thumbs. Feel the thumbs beating back into the heart. And from here, just step the feet as wide as your mat with the toes pointing out. We're going to come into a yogi squat or malasana squat. You can come into this some different ways, but I like to come into this just by bending at the knees, hinging at the hips, bring the elbows to the insides of the knees, and then let the hips sink down, let the heart lift up. And you can always bring a block underneath the hips here if you want extra support. But let the elbows keep pushing into the knees, opening up the hips. Feel each point of the palms and fingers pushing against each other, opening up the hips a little bit more. Feel the heart really proud. Start to push the heart forward and up. And from here, just slowly let yourself sit down on the floor. You can bring the legs out in front of you. You can shake them out. You can rock them side to side, whatever feels good. And then we're going to do one seated pose before we come down to lay on our backs. So you can bring the feet wider than your mat. We're going to come into a wide-legged forward fold just to get into the insides of the legs a bit deeper. So as long as they're wider than your hips, that's all that really matters. It can be as wide or as narrow as you'd like. And then we'll start with inhaling or stretching a little more actively. So you can inhale, lengthen the spine, and then exhale, walk the hands forward, hinge at the hips, feeling the heart leading toward the floor. And if you like stretching like that, you can keep doing that. So inhaling and lengthening, exhaling, hinging. Or if you want to make this a little more restorative, you can just curl the spine, release the head. You can even stack some blocks, rest your head on the blocks. You can adjust the height throughout the length of the stretch if you start to open up. Noticing maybe any repeating thoughts you've noticed throughout the practice. And just starting to reflect on where you were when we first started today and where you are now. And maybe it's in about the same space, and that's okay. I'm starting to become aware of the state of your mind. And just practicing letting it be exactly what it is. Not trying to change anything. Let's take 5 more deep breaths where you are. And then really slowly, you can start to walk the hands back up toward the hips. Bring yourself back up to your seat. And grab the outsides of the legs, bring them into each other. And give yourself a hug here. Just come into a tiny little ball, just really tucking the chin in, squeezing the legs. You can bring your hands to the front of the shins and inhale as you pull the heart forward and through. Maybe tilt the head back. We're going to do some seated cat-cows. So shoulder blades drawing together down the back. And then exhale, curl it in, tucking the chin. Feel the pelvic floor tilting up toward the navel. And then inhale, coming forward. So the pelvic floor is now tilting away from the navel. Heart's pulling through, head slightly lifts. And then just move like this a few more times on your own. And the next time that you are curled, you can just continue that curling motion, coming all the way down to lay on your back. You can hug the knees into the chest when you arrive. Rock from side to side, massaging the low back. Then you can bring both feet to the floor and bring them as wide as your mat, and we'll do some windshield wipers back and forth. You can move slowly or quickly, but I encourage you to move a little bit slower than you normally would. So you just really pay close attention to the glutes each time as they're rolling against the mat. Feeling each inch of the glutes just being massaged by this rocking motion. You can stay in some sweet spots if you find them. And the next time both of your knees are dropped off to your left, just leave them there. You got this external rotation in your left hip and this internal rotation in the right hip. Maybe you turn onto the right cheek, look off to the right side of your mat. And I can extend that arm out to the side if you want a little more length. Just feeling this really gentle twist. Releasing the muscles in the body, so not holding anywhere. Being soft. And slowly you can bring the head, bring the knees back to center. And take that to the other side, both knees dropping off to the right. You can turn onto your left cheek, looking off to the left if you'd like. Internal rotation in your left hip this time, external in the right. And you can bring the head and the knees back to center. Hug the knees back into the chest. And then reach both feet up to the ceiling. You can shake them out here. Just let them rest in the hip sockets. Hands can be wherever they're comfortable. And just feeling this weightlessness in the legs and in the feet. And then you can reach the arms up to do the same. Just allowing the arms to release all their muscles and just rest in the shoulder socket. Feeling the shoulders being pinned down by the weight of the arms, the hips pinned down by the weight of the legs, the four corners of your torso pinned to the mat by the weight of your own limbs and gravity. Letting the hands and the feet grow a little warm, maybe a little tingly with this change in blood flow, just giving them a nice break. A few more moments here. When you're ready, you can bend the knees and come right into happy baby. You can grab whatever's available, the outside edges of the feet, the toes, the ankles, the knees. Anything that opens up the hips to the ceiling, knees dropping off to the sides. And you can find stillness here, pulling the hips, pulling the shoulders to the mat. Or maybe you find some rocking motions. Maybe you take turns straightening out each leg. You straighten out both legs. Anything that feels good. When you're ready, you can bring the soles of the feet to find each other. Let the outside edges of your feet find the mat. Knees dropping off to the sides. Rolling the shoulder blades under the spine, palms facing up. Your reclined bound angle pose or your Supta Baddha Konasana. And if there's any last movements you feel you need to take to make your practice feel complete today, go ahead and do so whenever you. And if you do feel ready to rest, you're more than welcome to stay in this pose or straighten out your legs and come into your final Shavasana, final resting pose. Allowing the body to be fully supported by the mat beneath you. Letting go of any holding throughout the body. Letting go in the face and in the scalp, forehead, eyebrows, and jaw, all softening. Shoulders releasing. The ribs softening. The arms are heavy. The belly release. Pelvic floor. The glutes. Feel the length and the weight of your legs. Allow all the muscles to roll off of the bones in the legs. Releasing the feet and each toe. Rest here for a few more moments. Maybe checking back into what your intention was, beginning of practice. Letting that just soak into the body. And trusting everything that's meant for you will come to you. To call air back into the body, deepening the breath. Inhale, imagining the breath filling you up from the toes to the tip of your head. Maybe start to wiggle the fingers, wiggle the toes. Some gentle movements. You're also more than welcome to stay in Shavasana as long as you'd like. If you'd like to come out with me, I'll guide you through it. If you'd like, you can reach the arms overhead, take a big morning stretch. Getting the body nice and low. Bring the knees into center. Then rock yourself to a fetal position on one side. And rest the head on the upper arm. And when you're ready, you can push your top hand into the ground and slowly make your way up to your seat, just leaving the eyes closed for now. You can bring your hands to heart center when you arrive. Just checking back in with yourself, feeling yourself, your own heartbeat. Thanking yourself for starting your day on this note. May the positive energies of this class carry you throughout the rest of your day, the rest of your weekend. May you bring some of this to everyone you cross paths with. Namaste.